Hi everybody and welcome to a new episode of Ask Tatyana. Today we will talk about how to choose a new guitar. And the first question you need to answer yourself is, why do I need a new instrument? Maybe it's your first one, or maybe you already have one but you are absolutely disappointed about the quality. Or maybe you have a good guitar, but you would like to have another one with a different characteristics. In all these three situations, your searching approaches will be absolutely different. The second point is budget. How much money you would like to spend for your instrument. There is one general rule. As more expensive guitar is, as better it will be. Of course, it's not a golden rule, and sometimes it's actually the other way around. But in general, it's really true that the guitar for $1,000 will be better than the guitar for $50. Please, at this point, don't forget about second-hand market. The guitar that somebody want to sell. It's quite a big market, and sometimes you can find the amazing instruments with the top conditions, but at least half of the price or even less. So ask your friends, ask your teachers, or maybe your colleagues. Maybe somebody would like to sell his own guitar and want to buy a new one, and it could be probably the suitable instrument for you. Another point, before you go to any shop or before you order something in the internet, try to collect as much information as possible about different brands and luthiers and different kinds of instrument, different woods. Why it is important? Because actually when you go to the music shop and if you will buy the first guitar that you see, the chances that it will be good and absolutely wonderful instrument for you are as big as to win lottery. So try to collect as much information as possible, and then you can be absolutely satisfied with the result. Another point that I think also is very, very important, you need to compare different guitars. To compare as many guitars as possible. Why is it so important? Because each instrument is absolutely different, but we hear the differences only in the direct comparison. Why it is so? We just make a small experiment now, and I will show you 3 different guitars and we'll see what happens. So when we take the first guitar and just play it, it sounds wonderful, isn't it? So we could take this one and and try it at home again. But actually, you will hear now, only if we compare, if we make direct comparison of different instruments, only then we can see the positive sides of the instrument and negative sides, because otherwise it's quite difficult to hear what would be the problems of this instrument or the best sides of this instrument. So let's compare it with another one. actually only in a direct comparison. Now we can hear that the first guitar is not so loud, it has quite weak basses, and the discount is probably not the optimal, and the richness of the sound is not as big as by this instrument. So I recommend you compare as many instruments as possible, and then you can find out what you prefer and what you like more or less. Another point, be careful when you choose guitar via recording, because recording it's absolutely different situation, and when you will take the guitar in your hands and you will play it by yourself, it will be probably a different sound. Why? Because everybody of us is absolutely different. We have different ways of playing, we have different intensity, we have different strokes, and the rooms are different. In all these conditions, instrument can sound different. So if you have any possibility, if you heard somewhere in the recording wonderful instrument and you think, this one could be, I would recommend it. Try it yourself if it's possible. When we choose the guitar or when we decide to buy this one, what rules us? Actually, they're very simple idea. I like it or I don't like it. And there are many things that could have big influence on this thought. I like it or I don't like it. Sometimes we even cannot imagine that there are many things in background that could make an influence on our decision. But I think it's very important to keep them in mind, and then you can avoid many difficult, hard, bad surprises when you buy instrument in the room, in a beautiful showroom in music shop with a lot of light, and it sounds perfectly, and then you come at home and then you notice, it's actually not as good as I thought, but it's probably too late. So I will give you now some kind of a list of these possible details that could make your decision in one side or in other side. The first important thing is you need to try guitar only in a quiet room. It's not a good idea to try, especially classical guitar, in a loud room where some electric guitar players are trying to test any amplification at the moment, or if many people talking somewhere in the near, or it's in generally very noisy in this room. It will not be possible to hear the objective sound of the instrument, and in this case it could be that you will find the guitar too quiet or probably too dull, and it will not be the reality. Another point is try to avoid a sudden noise background changes. It's also not so good when you driving through the loud traffic for several hours, or probably you had a big party yesterday and you had a great time, and today in the morning you would like to test classical guitar. It will not be probably a good idea. You need to give a chance your ears first to go down, because otherwise it will also have a big influence how we hear the sound, or if we like the sound or not. The third point, you need to take your own guitar, if you already have one, with you to test a new guitar. Why is it so important? I showed you just right now how it's important to compare different guitars, but why do we really need to take our own instrument with us? Because each guitar sounds absolutely different in different rooms. When you practice at home, and honestly saying we spend the most of the time playing guitar in our own room, we get used to a special sound. So if you will buy a new guitar, you will take it at home and you will play it under the same circumstances. So usually when I want to try a new instrument, I take my own brute guitar with myself in the wonderful showroom of the new shop, and I take it out, and the first thing I play just for 5 minutes on my own guitar. Why? I know absolutely exactly what is the sound of my instrument. I know it so good, and in a new room I can hear what makes this room different and how this instrument would sound in my room. What I mean, I know that my guitar has a quite loud, very representative basses, and it's very good balanced, and it has a special kind of sound. When I play on my guitar in a different room and I hear, oh, okay, here is the basses are not so loud, then I know that it's not the problem of the guitar, but I know it's the room that changes the sound. What does it mean? When you will take another one, a new guitar, and you will have an impression the basses are somehow not really loud, you will know that it's probably not the instrument but the room that change the sound. And it means when you take your guitar and go back home and play the instrument there, it will sound with more basses. Just like example. So usually I also try to compare new guitars with my own. I play 2-3 measures of several pieces on my guitar, then I put it away and I take another one and play the same 3 measures on a new guitar. Then I can hear what is the difference, which one is more louder, which one is more soft, which one has more beautiful discount or something else. It's very, very helpful, and I recommend you a lot. Try it. Then you will avoid some bad surprises at home. If you need guitar not only just for playing for yourself at home, but if you plan to do any concerts or you would like to play in front of the audience or in any concert hall, it's very important when you choose instrument to ask somebody to play this guitar and to go away just for several meters. Because usually the sound that we hear when we're playing the instrument is different as the sound that the audience will hear. So be able to choose a good instrument, the instrument that transports the sound quite well. It's important to hear it by a side. So try it. Maybe you can take somebody of your friends who can play very well, or at least you can ask a seller to play something for you, just to get an impression how the instruments works with a big room and with a big distance. And the last point, but not least, even if you cannot play anything, I would recommend you still to try the guitar that you want to have, just to get your own personal impression of the instrument. And don't forget, sellers are there to sell you the instrument, and not necessarily they want to sell you the best one. These were some theoretical points of how to choose guitar and what you need to be prepared for. And in the next episode, I will show you which points you need to check on the instrument. Doesn't matter if expensive or cheap one. And I will show you where the most difficult and problematic parts of the instrument could be.